Hi there everyone. We're doing a small series on fan films tonight. Our first video of the night is The Misadventures of Harley Quinn and Harley's Great Escape.
Wow. Well. Look at this little number. You were one sexy little girl.
Connor, what is the plot of Harley's Great Escape?
It starts with Harley Quinn getting put in jail, and a security guard tries to sexually harass her. Then she meets Black Manta, and they decide to escape. So then she offers to have sex with the security guard who's sexually harassing her.
And he's a racist.
And he's a racist that hates black people.
Ah, Black Manta. Hey, thanks for letting us know you're black. Like we can't tell.
And she beats him up and steals his keys so that they can kind of just walk out of jail. Black Manta blows up a wall with his lasers.
Damn. Glass is dead. Better work. Go!
Then they're on the run when they go to a convenience store where they try to steal money, I guess. I don't really know why they were at the convenience store, but they were there. And then they kill everybody in there and they escape. And then Rick Jones is following them, who was put on assignment by Amanda Waller to track them down. This is where they are chased in a very exciting chase.
Yeah, but
Hiya, Buddy.
Harley, stop!
But they get away from Rick Flag and end up at a warehouse where Harley Quinn betrays Black Manta and smacks him in the face. And then there's flashbacks because the twist is that Poison Ivy was helping her, and somehow this is a twist and not a reveal.
That's my good friend Ivy. She'd do anything for me. Now! You're gonna regret underestimating me. Who's the stupid bitch now?
damn it!
So there's a bunch of flashbacks throughout this 30-minute movie, like I couldn't remember or something. It seemed kind of Saw-inspired. But then she goes to a beach, a gravelly Midwestern beach with a bunch of fucking dirt and fucking... It just looks like a construction site, basically. And she fucks the Joker in front of Poison Ivy.
Daddy's home.
Ew. Okay, I'm out of here. You two have fun, I guess.
This is not a porno. So Aiden, what did you think of Harley Quinn's Great Escape, or whatever the hell it is?
This movie is so baffling. The plot, non-existent. Effectively non-existent. The real kick in the teeth of this movie is the shooting. This movie is shot at like 10 frames per second, somehow. According to the credits, it was made in 2017. And I can't imagine a way that this would have been shot at that frame rate with any reasonable tool.
No love, sweetie. Hurry.
Our shitty camera from 2017 shot completely normal.
That camera we had that's completely normal was from like 2015 or 16, I think.
Yeah, it was from 2016. We got it for like what, like 150?
$200 or something. But yeah.
Like, what the fuck is he using?
I think just with costumes and locations alone, it probably costed more to make up just about everything in this movie than it would have costed to buy the camera. So the question is, an even decent camera, or shoot it on your fucking iPhone if you're stuck at that.
Real movies shot on iPhone go to fucking theaters.
Right.
It would have looked better than this, for sure. It's got some blatant editing errors, like just like black spots between scene transitions and stuff. It has its moments, you know. The racist cops are pretty funny. It's really out of nowhere, where they're just like, "Hey, black man, and guess what? You're a black man in prison," and they both laugh hysterically for like 30 seconds. It's very bizarre. There is approximately one CGI effect in this movie, and it's black man shooting his laser at the wall, and it looks horrendous. And they never shoots his laser again because it was too difficult. He even corners the guy who's chasing him, and he's like, "Turn around and go away." And then instead of shooting his lasers, black man just turns around and runs away. Man, it is a movie. Kind of. Almost.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it that. But yeah, it is one of the most poorly shot fan films we've ever watched on this channel. We've seen things with more laughable plots, more laughable acting. Not to say the acting was good, because it wasn't, but the shooting is so... It almost feels purposeful. Like you'd have to go out of your way to track down some camera that could shoot in that at that frame rate and resolution, because it was like, it was widescreen. It wasn't 16:9, but it was like, it had the black bars, but it was also running at half frame rate.
Yeah, I'm
It's
wondering
just so
if they switched if they edited it to look like that, like cut down the frame. Like it probably shot in a standard resolution and then they cut it to be fucking.
Maybe it was some sort of rendering error and they just didn't notice.
I don't think so. I think they were trying to make it real cinema resolution.
I just don't understand, because it makes literally everything that happens in this movie so choppy. It is so awkward. The movie itself feels like a porno most of the time. Everyone in this movie is fucking horny. And they all talk about being horny, and the Harley Quinn is just dressed in like a lingerie set from Hot Topic. Walking around.
Not even. It's like cheap Harley Quinn panties that you'd buy at like the fucking ICP online store or some shit. It looked ridiculous.
Yeah. And I don't know why they went with Black Manta. Besides the fact that they knew a black guy. I can't think of a reason why out of every character.
Black Manta.
Like maybe one that was in Suicide Squad with her, you know?
Well, what I was thinking is if you got a black person, why not just make a Deadshot if you're going to go that route? Because everything else seems to be pretty much exclusively based on the Suicide Squad movie.
I don't know. It's baffling. Connor, what did you think of Harley's escape?
I thought it was terrible. About 10 minutes in, I just wanted to shut it off. And we considered not even reviewing it, and then I said fuck it, and we got through it. But, yeah, there's a lot of lighting choices that are weird, just to add on to what Aiden had so far. That I noticed, like, the one where they went to, like, solitary confinement, they, like, backlit it, and then I think they color corrected it. And it looked really weird. Or I couldn't tell if they, like, took a shot of the normal prison cells they had, because for some reason they went to like an abandoned prison or something, I don't really know, or jail, I don't really know. It looked like a tiny small town jail cell, but regardless of what happened there, like the solitary confinement, it looked like they color corrected the jail cell and then maybe shot it on green screen. But the green screen didn't look bad, so I don't really understand what the fuck they did to make it look so weird.
I feel like the contrast was just slightly off, which left everything.
Well, the characters didn't look that off contrast. That was the weird thing. is I expected it to be a fucked up contrast. The contrast is fucked in this movie, and so is the color correction and shit, or just the color in general. But especially in that scene, I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was definitely mind-boggling, to say the least. The girl who played Harley was alright for what it was, but everyone else in this movie was pretty much terrible. The director played the Joker. I think Rick Flag stood out as particularly comically bad.
Oh yeah.
He was just this like 40-year-old man.
In like Walmart camo khakis.
Yeah, he pulled up in his fucking 1994 Chevy Tahoe or something. To the convenience store. That was pretty cringe.
Yeah, that was funny as fuck.
There was also like no sound effects the whole time, so like do an action, it's just silent. It's like,
Oh yeah, he's like unloading all his shit from the back of his car, and it's just complete dead air. It's just.
right, and he'd like cock his gun and put it in, and it's just silent. It was unfortunate.
Unfinished.
Unfinished is probably better off. I'm guessing somebody just made this for their film school project or something. That would be my guess, is the guy who played Joker did it for his film school project, although the end, after the credits, had a end credit sting where it seemed like they wanted to continue the story and Black Manta was going to get his revenge.
Not gonna wait when we get back at that crazy bitch.
So
Everyone seems a little too old to be associating with some film school kid, you know?
not everyone. I mean, I think,
Harley, maybe not.
well, the two girls in it, the girl who played Poison Ivy and the girl who played Harley Quinn, I could maybe see being about that age. And then I didn't really see much, like, I didn't really see the Joker, but I don't really know. I mean, it could always be like somebody's, it could be the Tommy Wiseau method where somebody just wanted to make a vanity film. They just did it on a small scale and had very
Also
limited
possible.
resources and money. I don't really know. The shot compositions were mostly bad, as to be expected, but a lot of these films at least like look like somebody went to film school and knew the limitations of what they could do on no budget. Was fight scene, hire somebody who can, a couple people who can pull off fight scenes, toss them in a cheap cosplay and shoot it somewhat cinematically. That's what a lot of these Batman fan films are, but
yeah, that's a lot of them in general. A lot of the Star Wars ones are just two guys hitting each other with lightsabers with an After Effects glow put on them later.
right.
And at least those are shot at like a proper resolution and frame rate.
Yeah, it looks like they at least shoot them on a DSLR. Although this is like bottom of the trash heap dig up that we did here, so I don't know. It was weird. It was like a lot. This also feels like maybe a film student made it. Maybe like a less talented one than that makes a lot of these, or maybe I feel like they might have had a bigger story in their head that they couldn't pull off, and I think they more wanted to make a Harley Quinn movie. It doesn't really feel like they thought much very deeply into their screenplay. It seems like they kind of just wrote it and then went after the first draft, because it's definitely like Harley Quinn's in jail. One scene where she gets out of jail.
Yeah,
then they
for
go to
a
a convenience
great
store
escape.
and do nothing important. Yeah, Great Escape makes it seem like it's going to be like some sort of like jailbreak movie, but it certainly is not that. She just gets the key and then they mosey out of the jail, because apparently in this world, if you get out of your cell, these
You're home
supervillains
free.
are just able to wander on out. Pretty much. I guess Black Manta had to shoot a wall down, but other than that, it was a relatively simple process. It kind of it was kind of shot reminiscent of like a 1950s movie where it was before cameras were small enough that they could get close to the action, sort of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you never get close-ups. Maybe it would just get too blurry. I don't know what
There's no
what
camera
the reason
movement.
was. Yeah, it's definitely like set up tripod, action happens. Set up tripod, action happens. It is.
Pretty much the only movement I can think of is they have like really crappy zoomed in highway shots of like cars driving, and the camera's like trying to follow fucking Ric Flair or whatever the fuck's SUV.
Rick Flag. Whatever. Rick whatever the fuck.
Rick Moranis.
Guy from goddamn Suicide Squad. So Aiden, would you recommend Harley Quinn, Joker's Harley Quinn Escape movie?
No.
I don't know why I said anything about
No.
Joker. He's in this movie for 2 seconds, but
This one's not entertaining. I mean, there's a giggle to be had at the frame rate, and then there's a lot of nothing, a lot of standing around at a convenience store, standing around in a jail cell. Everyone's in bikinis, just sitting on the beach together, like get naked, slut. It's porno without sex, and there's no reason to watch it.
see, I don't think it's really a porno because I think the porno would have set up the sex more inadvertently. This feels more like edgy film student writes lines that he wants to be provocative, and maybe he thinks it's realistic, or maybe it's supposed to add to the fact that Harley Quinn is a sexy character or something. I don't really know what the idea behind it is or what, but I think that was the idea behind it. I think he was trying to be provocative, and at least the first person wanting to fuck her, I guess, is like a way to write her getting the keys. It's pretty obviously, you know, kind of highlighted what was gonna happen, but
Yeah.
maybe Harley Quinn could have seduced the guy or something, have her character do more than run around. Also, I like the part where Black Mana's like, she planned it from the start, or somebody
And
says
there's
she planned it from the start.
3 minutes of flashbacks.
Yeah, no, I just like the fact that they say, more so than the flashbacks even, I like the fact that they imply that something was planned in this movie when literally Harley Quinn just
Texted
does
Poison
shit.
Ivy on the way, and Poison Ivy put a hammer in a fucking director's garage.
Right, and they act like it's a twist, like, where did that hammer come from? But it's like, I figured she just had it or something, I don't know. Why did she need the hammer? Couldn't she have, once she got the helmet off of him, just like punched him in the face or something? Like the hammer was
Stabbed
somewhat
him
unnecessary.
with a knife.
Yeah,
Gun.
pretty much anything other than the comically large hammer kind of just makes Harley Quinn seem incompetent the whole time. It's not like a master plan, like, I'm gonna break out, text Poison Ivy to leave the hammer there, and then hit him on the head. Like, I could set that shit up on the way to Target or something.
Yeah, it's certainly not the usual
I
suspects.
don't know what the fuck I meant by that, but you know what I mean. Maybe.
Anyway, did you recommend Harley's Great Escape?
I would definitely not. I thought it was fucking trash. This time we watched Bye Bye Pumpkin. Student quits film school to make this Pulp Fiction inspired short film by Danny Casale.
I don't know. No.
So Aiden, what is the plot of Bye Bye Pumpkin Pulp Fiction student film quits film school?
There's a mafia guy, mobster guy, who's given the nickname Pumpkin, and he has to bring a briefcase to another guy.
No, no drinks. I was actually hoping we'd get this done quickly.
Oh, please, my dear friend, I insist.
No, asshole.
Who's being told what to do by a woman, and then he gets shot. Connor, what'd you think of Bye Bye Pumpkin?
Bye Bye Pumpkin was shot alright. I mean, for a student film, it wasn't horribly shot for the most part. The one glaring problem I had with the shooting was the woman, the first several times we see her, is actually backlit pretty well with this cool red light. It's pretty cool cinematography. But then he color corrected this whole movie like some sort of shade of pink.
Baskin lot, 7:30.
For some reason. So then, instead of having like rich blackness behind her, it was like pink. Like, I think he just dropped the color correction over the whole movie, or at least this whole part of the film. So it was kind of weird because, like, if you backlight something, you should try to get like rich darkness, especially since they already had the red light. Like, it didn't really need to be color corrected. So, like, the color correction otherwise wasn't super noticeable, but I will point out that was pretty blatantly distracting. It wasn't shot tremendously, but for a student film, it actually looked somewhat like a film. There were a couple other awkward moments, like the airplane. Shit was obviously shot like guerrilla style. There was some New York scenes that I'm sure were guerrilla style. But you know what? The shot composition was mostly good. The acting, the main character, who is the director, Danny, played by the director Danny, is known as Pumpkin by this girl. He overacts the hell out of this movie a lot of the times.
Hey, you got a pay phone I could use somewhere around this town? Oh, we got a phone in the back. Well, thank you, but I really do need a pay phone. Oh, nonsense! Any paying customer can use our phone. Hey, you get this guy a phone! I need a pay phone.
There's a lot of really awkward overacting moments.
Yeah, same with his the mob boss guy that he works with.
The mob boss guy is a terrible actor, but he also kind of overacts. And then, by contrast, the girl who's going against him, I'm guessing, is supposed to have like a seductive tone to her or something, but she's really bland and dry.
Pumpkin.
Because a lot of the shots are like her smoking, sitting there smoking. Everyone in this movie's smoking. But with like the backlights and stuff, you think she's supposed to be like some kind of like seductive crime woman. I don't know. Which I think was definitely the intention. But she certainly is a little dry.
She comes off bored.
Right.
I actually thought the guy he meets up with at the restaurant was okay.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the guy from the restaurant was good. And there were some good shots. Like, I thought at the restaurant that was actually like a pretty cool looking shot, like the color palette and stuff. So there were actually some shots in this movie that I actually found interesting. But then there were some shots that were baffling, like when he was doing the scene with his crime boss. I definitely questioned why they kept cutting to this statue of like a Greek woman bust.
What think's in it?
Doesn't matter what's in it. It's none of our goddamn business what's in it. You know the play. We pick it up, we drop it off.
I don't know if he actually assigned meaning to it or if he thought it looked cool.
I think he thought it looked cool. It just happened to be there, and he was like, if I light this, I can have a shadow behind me.
Maybe I'm reading into it too much. I don't know the story behind the bust or who it's supposed to depict, but maybe it's supposed to be some kind of commentary on
maybe it's
on the woman, the evil woman. Like I'm not sure if that was his intention. Otherwise, someone could have just fucked up. It looked awkward or something, so he cut to that. Maybe he was trying to be artistic, but this is like the only scene something like that happens. I see what he was trying to do after he got shot, and he does like this shot that was like pointed upwards, and the guy like points over him and shoots him with a gun or whatever. Or no, he gives him the phone. He gives him the phone to talk to evil lady. There was definitely a lot of inspiration from Tarantino. I think he was trying to copy a lot of that, like, you know, like Sam Jackson or John Travolta or pretty much everyone in Reservoir Dogs, where they're like high energy, low tempered people, but where those people are experienced, good actors. I'm not saying that the main character was a horrible actor, but he definitely overacted, and it seemed like he was definitely trying to mimic that kind of thing. I also could not tell you what the story of this movie is. He's kind of just going for a briefcase the entire time.
Yeah.
With an unknown object in it. I guess that's something he latched onto from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I mean, in Pulp Fiction, we don't know what's in the briefcase because it's not relevant to the story being told. But in this movie, the briefcase is the closest thing there is to a story being told.
Right.
And so, assigning no meaning to it, like, I assume that the briefcase just has, like, nothing in it or garbage.
Right.
And it was just a trap to kill him.
Something.
But we don't know why the woman wants him killed.
Well, there was the first shot that takes place in, like, 1991, and, like, the woman, like, I don't know what the fuck happens in that shot. It was so quick. There was, like, 1 fucking second. I'm just gonna watch this real quick, because I'm curious.
I don't know. No. So, what's in it? You know, when the day finally arrives for me to do what I do best and, deliver the thing, whatever it may be, you know, I think I should know. What's in there?
More coffee, hon?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, so
He asked too many questions? I don't know.
no, he wanted to know what was in the suitcase. He was talking with the lady. We can cut that last part where I was watching out, but I guess he was trying to figure out what was in the suitcase. The lady wanted him to get it for her, and this scene takes place in 1992, and then it jumps forward to 1995. Why this movie's set in the 90s when he drives like a 2020 BMW.
In the restaurant they shoot in has a flat screen TV and a touch tunes in it.
And he's using a cell phone. He's using like a flip phone, which I don't know how many flip phones were in 1995, but it's bizarre that he would set it in the past because there's no real meaning to it. Honestly, I kind of forgot about that part until now I'm looking at the inconsistencies. It kind of just seems like he assigned random dates to it because he didn't care. Maybe he thought in 1992 it was more likely that he'd be wearing a suit because everybody's wearing their Quentin Tarantino starter pack clothes, suits, Hawaiian shirts, that type
Hawaiian
of shit.
shirt under a suit with the top 3 buttons undone.
Yeah.
Because I'm out here with my hot date pointing a gun at my box of guts, right? All over this briefcase. This briefcase!
It was certainly baffling. There was stuff there, but the story was just so incoherent that I really couldn't get much enjoyment out of it. We didn't really learn anything about this character. You know, the fact that we didn't get to know what was in the suitcase also makes the movie... Like, I get he probably didn't pick anything and he wanted, like, the Quentin Tarantino Pulp Fiction MacGuffin, but, like you said, the suitcase is meaningless in Pulp Fiction, more or less. But in this movie, the suitcase is the driving force of the plot.
But
we don't know why it's in there.
From the opening scene taking place 3 years later where he asks about the suitcase and the ominous music, it's probably just her generic way of getting rid of people who aren't useful
No,
anymore?
no,
Maybe?
because
I don't know.
1992 is when he's asking about the suitcase.
Yeah, I know.
In 1995, I don't know.
But like he says, when you eventually have to have me deliver
Oh.
it. Like I think the idea is that it's just like her convenient way of getting rid of people she's done with.
So
maybe?
why would she not
I don't
kill
know.
him? Why did she make him travel? Who was his mob boss? Was she his mob? Because he
I don't know.
didn't hear from her. Maybe it's like a hit type of way. Like she wanted to bring him to the hitman.
I can't tell
how she knew that he would be assigned to it. Why is she teamed up with a presumably rival mob boss? Is he a mercenary that knew too much? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
what it is.
There's not enough there.
Like I could understand that, like the suitcase. I think you're probably right about the meaning of the suitcase, but I still don't understand the plot of this movie really. Why did he go to New York? Why did the other guy not?
Well, he didn't know that. When he talks to the mob boss, he didn't know beforehand that the suitcase was for the woman, even though he had asked about it in the past. And the mob boss didn't know what the suitcase was either. So if it was like a way of getting rid of people, he'd probably know that. The mob boss would.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if these mob bosses are allies or if they're enemies. I don't know what their relationship is. I don't know what anybody's relationship with each other is.
I also don't really get why, like, this entire film... So he's seemingly friends with her in 1992. And then when he's talking to the mob boss later, he's like, why did it have to be that goddamn woman? And that's when he screams. He's like, he's on the phone. And he flips his shit out. What does he flip his shit out about again? I don't know. He flips his shit out about something. No, this wasn't when he was on... Wait, was it?
It was before he got on...
Well, he's talking to the mob boss. He's upset about the woman. We don't really know where the rift in their relationship came from. And apparently the guy had no idea it was even the woman. It was just a
blind request.
Blind request. And I also don't get, why did he have to fly out to New York to deliver the package? Because she was out, like, in the parking lot watching him. Those were her goons? Or was he getting the suitcase from someone that wasn't her goons, but he didn't know? Or they were her goons, but he didn't know?
They were her goons, and it was all an elaborate ruse to bring
just
him
shoot
to
the
New York.
fucking guy. Like, why? Like, you had like 20 guys there. Why not just fucking shoot him there?
Guys, I just wanted to hear him say it. Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
I just wanted to hear him actually say it.
Yeah, see, well, if they had him go out to New York, and they had no idea who was behind it, then that would make sense.
But they know it's the woman.
But they know it's the woman the whole time. So they know it's the woman the whole time. So they can't be. So they'll go after her for retaliation, whether they do it in California or New York.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Well, there was snow, so I don't think it was California where they were before. Undisclosed location. Yeah. Ultimately, I feel like this movie's a lot more style over substance. Like, he wrote a really loose plot. I think he kind of just started writing, and he never... and I said this about the Joker one too, but I feel like a lot of fan films go through this, where he might have made 2 drafts, but I doubt it. It kind of feels like he just wrote a bunch of shit up. He's like, that kind of feels like a Quentin Tarantino movie. And then he kind of copied a bunch of shot compositions from him, took some color correcting from Drive, and he slapped it together, and kind of was just like, okay, this movie looks cool. But as far as it goes, the plot is such a jumbled mess that I had no fucking clue what the hell was going on. So Aiden, what did you think of Bye Bye Pumpkin?
Well, I'll address the elephant in the room. We're stretching the definition of a fan film for this one, but he did put Pulp Fiction in the title to clickbait it, so it counts.
Okay, well,
it counts.
In fairness, in fairness, in a previous cut one, we did do an Alex Vertical Spy video, our new favorite YouTuber.
Suspect wearing a red cape, dark clothing. Police have no record of who the suspect really is, but they are armed and extremely dangerous.
That was a Sonic fan film.
No, not the one we watched.
Oh yeah, the Sonic one was too bad to watch.
The Sonic one was so incomprehensible, we watched a different film. But, I don't know. It's just like, we could, I guess, you know, I feel like our fan film nights are just like, you know, student filmmakers, you know, our little student film critique.
YouTube short films.
YouTube short films, most of which are based on pre-established franchises, most of which we're intentionally trying to find hard cringe for. I kind of figured this would be a pretentious student film, and I was not disappointed.
Yeah, so, the plot is an issue. I know 20 minutes isn't a lot to work with, but this feels like a segment of a movie rather than like an idea in any way. Like,
right.
it feels like, you know, 15, 20 scenes in the middle of a movie instead of anything remotely resembling a plot, and we've covered the plot issues. I do want to shout out the other mobster guy in the restaurant, because he did have a fair amount of intensity without going completely over the top.
Right.
So props to him. The shooting, there's like a kernel of good idea in the shooting. Like Connor talked about the backlighting scene and how that's a little flubbed. The one that stuck out to me was when he meets up with the first group of guys who have the briefcase, like the baseball bat people.
Right.
He has a pretty nice wide shot laid out with them on separate sides. Granted, whoever set up the camera made it so it wasn't even. If he had moved it closer, evened it out, and had them on separate sides, it could have looked pretty cool. And then you also could have just shot it from that angle and like captured the audio with mics or ADR, something like that. But instead he moved the camera around, so he had this wide shot that he cut back to a few times. But then he'd do like these awkward mid shot that would go in shot reverse shot and just like quickly flip between them.
Pumpkin.
I just wanted to hear him actually say it.
And it feels really clumsy when you already had like a perfectly fine shot that just needed to be slightly like touched up a little bit to be functional. And you can see a lot of influence, like obviously he's not shy about that, but like the scene at the start where he's in the gas station thing, whatever, convenience store, looking for a phone and the music cuts out when he yells, was very, very Tarantino. He wears his influences on his sleeve.
Right. Although, I will say the difference is, thus far in the movie, we don't understand why he's so tense. Is his character just an asshole? Is there...
Oh, we never know anything about the character.
Right, but I mean, like what we see is, so it starts in a diner because...
Of course
it does. He has to have a diner scene. It's a Tarantino ripoff.
More coffee, hon?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
And then he goes to this convenience store and he's agitated and he's seemingly scared of this woman. But we don't know what happened between those 3 years that made it from them being friends. Was it right after he talked to her? Did she threaten him or something to not ask about the case?
Did he join this other gang? Was he like originally working for her and then wasn't?
Right.
Or yeah. Like, okay, in Pulp Fiction, we know who all the characters are. Like Vincent, Sam Jackson. He's religious, he's loud, he's over the top, he's got a short fuse. What do we know about Pumpkin? Nothing. He's a gangster, and he's kind of nervous and sweaty, and he yells sometimes. That's all we know. The briefcase in Pulp Fiction doesn't matter because the characters are the focus. And there's no character in this movie, so the only question the audience is going to have is, what is going on ever? If you have strong characters, you don't need a story. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's mostly true. Like, most of the time, that's the case.
Right.
And even in Drive, we never learn the driver's name. He barely talks, but you get a pretty good impression of who he is and what he is because the movie focuses on him and how he reacts to things and what he does.
Right.
And this movie is so focused on this plot that just does not go anywhere. It's irrelevant, and they should have just focused on showing us who this person was as opposed to...
I think I could live with the backdrop of assumptions that we need to make about the character if there was more of a character developed for this Pumpkin character. Like, if Pumpkin was a great character and this was some kind of character study, I feel like I could kind of forgive it more, but instead it feels like he wanted to pack a movie that should have been at least a 40-minute short film. Like, it needed to be at least twice as long to fill up.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't really have any characters to bounce off except the mob boss guy, and that's solely essentially pointless exposition about how it's the woman that I'm scared about. He's scared. He's always scared. We don't know why he's scared, because that's not explained. Most of the time he's just silently going places saying, I need this suitcase or I'm dead. Now I need to deliver this suitcase or else I'm dead. Like, it's just very incoherent, and I respect him for trying to elevate it past, like, what we talked about in our last short film, that Harley Quinn one, where it's just event happens, event happens, event happens, event happens. There's no plot holes in that movie, but they don't try to add any fucking complexity to it either.
Well, in the end, it is literally all style, no substance, but the style's not enough to carry it. There's literally zero substance, so it just comes off as, like, kind of try-hard, if I had to toss out a word, where he's like, I saw this is what Quentin Tarantino did in his thing, so if I do that, it'll be good, you know?
Right.
It feels unoriginal.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, if he stayed in film school, would have he learned much more than what he already had here? I mean, let's be real. I think the main problem is the writing. I feel like a lot of people, and even professional filmmakers, fall into this trap. They can try to copy Quentin Tarantino's style, because especially in his early films, it's not the most complex thing to shoot. It's not like he's playing with 6,000 extras and stuff. So on a superficial level, you can make it look reminiscent of Quentin Tarantino, or people who make similar movies in that vein.
Yeah, sure.
But I think the problem is, especially on an amateur level, if you watch a film like this, they can shoot a movie that looks like an amateur Quentin Tarantino, but they don't have the writing down, because Quentin Tarantino writes amazing scripts, or works with people that can write amazing scripts, and that's why 7 out of 9 of his movies are amazing.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the good parts of the movies are just dialogue.
Right.
And people getting their heads blown off, but a good portion of the time when they're not blown heads off is a lot of people standing around talking, and it's not boring.
Yeah. No, like, I mean, this movie even does a decent job you know, for an amateur actor trying to capture like the emotions and stuff that are shown, but it's just not saying anything interesting. It's a very like superficial version.
It's like a very tiny version of El Royale,
basically,
where it kind of has the look to it, but it doesn't have the actual like meat of it, you know.
Right. Well, I would call this like the this is definite. I feel like it's a little different because El Royale kind of felt like Quentin Tarantino's Zero, you know, like if Quentin Tarantino's Coke, El Royale's like Quentin Tarantino's Zero, you know.
Okay.
Like you try it the first time and you're like, wow, that kind of tastes like Coke. Then you try it a second time and you're like, actually, this tastes like shit. This is bad. That's pretty much what I would describe it as. So I wouldn't really compare this to El Royale.
It might have been a little hard.
I don't think that this is a terrible effort if he kept going, but instead he just made a bunch of shitty Instagram animations because he makes money easier that way.
Listen, let's talk. I know butts are like really awesome. I get it. Butts rock.
But
yeah. So Connor, would you recommend Bye Bye Pumpkin?
I'm gonna forego a recommendation on this movie because it's not an amazing film. It's not god awful dog shit. It's just some guy's short film. But if I had to, no. If I had to give a recommendation, no. Fuck the foregoing. I feel like, honestly, if this guy went back, worked with somebody who could write it better and expand the concept into like a full movie, it would probably be, and you know, he polished up his skills, you know, you got a professional editor, professional like cinematographer, you know, got professional actors. You can keep the diner guy.
He has some nugget of an idea
Yeah,
that could function with work.
Yes.
But it seems like he kind of just gave up after this. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, if I was a film school teacher, you know, not one of the prestigious ones. If this came into, like, a film school, like, community college film school, this would get a straight A from me, but not gonna lie, like, would I think people would actually enjoy it in a literal sense? Probably no. Although he did have a budget behind it, because he had, like, 6,000 people. And then he did the douchey thing during the credits where, like, it's like shouting. It's like, you know, the credits, like, this is your time to shine if you're like the catering person, because this dude must have sunk a lot of
there and he's
money
like
into
flexing his muscles and
He,
he's
like,
like,
comes
I'm just
out
gonna
and
sit here.
Instagram, Twitter.
Follow me on Instagram.
Wow,
follow me on
this
Twitter.
is boring. This is a lot of
Look
fucking
at this
people.
boring bullshit.
Daddy must have spent a lot of money on this movie.
Hi there. Thanks so much for watching my first official short film, Bye Bye Pumpkin. I'm Danny Casal. If you want to stay connected and, you know, see some more of my stuff, you could go over to my Instagram page at CoolManCoffeeDan. Or, you know, since you're already here, you could hit that subscribe button and that would mean a lot as well. Alright, that's all I got. You know, now I'll just kind of sit here and wait for all these credits to roll. That's a lot of people. I'm just gonna go. Thank you again.
The guy who made it seems like a huge douchebag. But that's okay, you know, I'm not judging him on whether or not he's a huge tool or not. I'm judging him on whether his movie's shit or not. You know what? Fuck it. I feel like I gave him a lot of credit, like as a student filmmaker, but he had like 6,000 people work on this movie. I feel like I have the right to call it a piece of shit. Yeah. And the douchey come out, like when he came out and he's like, yo, follow me on social media. I know like all these people work so hard on my movie, but could I just like make this screen smaller so I can come out here and shill my Instagram more? Yeah, fuck that guy, actually. I mean, imagine, like, if like, at the end of, like, Jaws, Steven Spielberg just takes
He stands in front of the credits and he's like, by the way, guys, follow me on, what did they have? Add me to your Rolodex?
Add me to your Rolodex. All those studio executives, add me to your Rolodex. Okay, it would be more like a modern director doing the same thing. But still, it's probably the single most douchey thing ever. Like, if he came out after the credits, I would be like, okay, whatever. Or, like, you put it in the description or something. But
I'm sure it was also in the description.
Oh, it positively was. I'm pretty sure he's like, go down to that description. Yeah. That was a lot of people to work on the short film. I think his dad must have spent a lot of money to get this short film made just for him to fucking dump it on YouTube.
Yeah. And then give up.
And then give up and make shit ass animations.
If you could tag a friend that, you know, I could do weird butt stuff to, let me know.
But anyways, Aiden, would you recommend Baby Pumpkin, Bye Bye Pumpkin, Quentin Tarantino student film ripoff, action, sci-fi 2017, really good movie?
Truthfully, no, obviously. If this didn't have Quentin Tarantino, if this didn't have Pulp Fiction in the title, nobody would have ever seen it.
Right.
It's almost an idea, but it's also not even close to being an idea. There's nothing to it. There's nothing you'll enjoy. It's essentially a student film homework assignment that, you know, he dropped out of film school and he's like, shit, I already shot half my student film. My dad paid for it. And then he's like, well, I guess I gotta do something with it, and just dumped it on YouTube and then started flexing his muscles and pumping up his Instagram page.
Yeah.
No, fuck
it
this
also
guy.
gets less views than most of his 1 minute animations. Most of his 1 minute animations are the most low effort MS Paint ass animation I've ever seen. Gets more views than this.
Thank you, Vine, Twitter.
It's
Instagram, Tumblr.
It's not even Twitter or Vine, because Vine's been.
Yeah,
he might have posted them on Vine early on, but it's all Instagram. I can just picture people following him on Instagram and scrolling through these things. 20 mid-rolls. He probably has a fucking Snapchat story.
So next up tonight, we watched Roll Out, which is a Transformers fan film.
How many times I've tried to kill myself!
Kill yourself?
By TFI Creations. Connor, what is the plot of Roll Out?
Roll Out follows a conflict between the Autobots and the Decepticons as they fight over some sort of computer AI that can create combiner transformers. Optimus Prime is gravely wounded.
You know what they say, Optimus. What doesn't kill you disappoints me.
And then Ultra Magnus takes over. And then Ultra Magnus dies.
You're one of those bots who would be enormously improved by death. Why are you the way that you are?
And then that helicopter Transformers meets up with Hot Rod. And I think Hot Rod died. He kind of just disappeared.
Yeah, he wasn't really important, so they kind of just forgot him.
I didn't notice him after that part. But then, before Ultra Magnus dies, actually, Hotspot tries to kill himself.
I'm sorry! No! Hotspot, no! Let me do this, please! I can't! Hate me all you want, but I'm stopping you! No! Will you please just listen to me, Hotspot? This will not solve anything! Do you understand me? It is not the way out! I don't care! You should!
Yeah.
In a bizarre twist of fate.
Very intense scene.
Yeah, it was an interesting scene. Kind of came out of left field because Hot Shot really wasn't important up to this point. But then Ultra Magnus dies, and then they fight the Decepticons because Hot Shot takes over as the leader. They combine because the AI combines or something, and then they combine. For some reason, Megatron keeps saying he doesn't want to take over Earth, but he wants to make his big transformer for some reason. A little bit muddled, the plot, but that's what I gathered from it. So, Aiden, what did you think of Rollout, a Transformers fan film?
Well, clearly a shit ton of effort went into this thing. It's got effects. He did a good job of not getting his hands in the video. The video is essentially a bunch of Transformers figures being used as actors with voice acting, with some After Effects splashed in. It does try to tell a story about a character. What's his name?
Rollout? Or no, fucking Hot Shot?
Is it Hot Shot?
Yeah, Hot Shot's
Oh, it's Hotspot, isn't it?
Maybe. Hotspot, yeah, I think.
Tries to tell a story about his anxiety and like coping with that and growing from that. And again, it's a little funny, the juxtaposition of that plot line in Transformers and like him trying to drive off the cliff. It comes off a little silly, but truthfully, it has a story that it wants to tell. It tells it. It's perhaps not the medium I would have chosen to tell the story, but as far as this chosen medium goes, it's pulled off about as well as it could realistically be pulled off. There's not too much to hate about it. I mean, the voice acting is fine. Some of it's better than others, and
yeah.
But I mean, it probably wouldn't be an episode of the Transformers because it's a little dark. But you know, it potentially could be an episode, something similar to this. Maybe with a slightly more consistent tone throughout, but it succeeds at feeling Transformers-y enough, and it's a solid effort for what it is. That's what I have to say about it. You know, it knows what it is, and it does it well. Connor, what'd you think of Rollout?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a ton to add either, to be honest. It's impressive what they were able to do without stop motion. Obviously, you're not going to have very much layered action since I assume it was like 2 or 3 guys filming this and they had to avoid putting their hands in it. I can't remember an instance of hands being in the movie as far as I can recall. But
no, they're very careful about it.
They were careful. It was a little awkward watching action figures for 35 minutes, and like Aiden said, the attempted suicide scene was a little crazy. I didn't really know what was going on at first because like Hotspot's just like, I can't shoot him, and Ultra Magnus is like, why not? And then he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. And then he tried to kill himself.
Yeah,
it was a little out there.
It wasn't what I was expecting.
They tackled harsher subject matter. It's really not how the film is advertised, so I guess I'd be a little concerned that, you know, children might see it and be like, okay, what's this Transformer trying to do here? But, I mean, for what it is, they had a story. It wasn't just Transformers toys bashing each other for 35 minutes.
First movie we watched tonight with a story.
Well, Harley Quinn had a story, just not a very particularly enthralling one. I would definitely say in terms of screenwriting, it's probably the best of the 3.
First one with a character.
First one with a... Well... Harley Quinn also had a character. They all had characters. This one, if anything, probably did the worst fleshing. Well, not the worst fleshing out a character, but the worst balancing time for that character. Because Hotspot comes in like 15, 20 minutes into the movie. He comes in 15, 20 minutes into the movie and he's just kind of unimportant.
It does have
until then.
awkwardness, but he has an arc. There's an attempt made.
There is an arc a little bit.
Something.
He kind of just is like, my depression is cured.
Your serotonin levels are rising. This indicates that you are stable.
That's the first time somebody has called me stable.
Which is a little awkward, kind of. But I see what he was going for. And I do respect it because, I mean, he had a vision for a film. It was wholly original. I've never seen anything like it.
That is true.
I can see, like, I guess my biggest criticism is I don't understand who this is for. Because I feel like kids would be able to take it the most seriously, given the medium of using toys as your actors, and kind of basically, like, puppeteering these toys, but then there's the serious depression angle throughout it. So I guess like adult Transformers fans would probably be the best option for it.
It's a bit awkward.
It's definitely something you don't expect from a Transformers film, but you know, for what it is, I think this is what he set out to do. And he did a pretty decent job of it. Like, the After Effects all looks pretty good for a Transformers film, or like for like a film about Transformers toys. Or, I guess, with Transformers toys telling their story. Like, the story was told how he wanted it to. I feel like he succeeded in that. Well, the pace seems a little quick. He might have been able to make it a little longer to flesh out Hotspot more. I think, you know, I feel like the stuff with Ultra Magnus was kind of unimportant. Like, maybe they could have condensed it where, like, in the first scene, he was scared to shoot, and maybe, like, we find out he has depression later, and then maybe he tries to kill himself at, like, the midpoint or something. You know, just kind of dish out the character arc a little more, but you know what, I can't really fault it that much. They really, they did what they were trying to do. They made this movie. So Aiden, would you recommend roll out a Transformers fan film?
Truthfully, no. I do want to emphasize that for what it is, it's good. It's certainly not for me. Apparently, it's for some people because it does have a lot of views, and it's not bad. But I can't imagine people watching this video having a big crossover with people watching that. So I'm gonna say generally no. Connor, what about you?
I would agree with you. I do think like people in the Transformers toy community would probably enjoy the film. I think for what it is, it's probably about the most well done film you could possibly get from something like this. That said, if like you're not interested in Transformers, I feel like you have to be part of the niche that's like really into Transformers and you're able to take the Transformers toys seriously. Because I feel like there is that gate of entry to get past where you're like, the medium of how he shot it with the Transformers toys is a little bizarre. I mean, it's probably, I mean, for the guy's means, probably wasn't the worst way to go. The voice acting's okay, but I mean, I can only half-heartedly recommend it on the same level I would recommend like a random episode of Transformers G1 or something where like, if you would be interested in Transformers, you'll probably get something out of it, but if you're not interested in Transformers, or you couldn't take the toy medium seriously, or like the medium he shot this with the toys, it probably would come off as pretty bizarre and alien, which was my core issues with the film. Like, it's serviceable, but yeah. So Aiden, what was your favorite fan film of Fan Film Comparisons episode 1? Or whatever we call this. Tentative title.
If I had to rank them, I'm probably going to put Transformers first, Rollout, because it tried. After that is Bye Bye Pumpkin, because at least it tried to have a visual style. And then third is Harley's Great Escape, for reasons that should be obvious, including it's dog shit and it runs at 10 frames a second. Connor, rank your picks.
I would also have to go with Rollout first, just because I feel like when I watch a film, my main barrier of entry is going to be whether or not, you know, I'm most interested in the story it's trying to tell. Like, a movie could be really shittily done, but if it has a good script, there's a level I could get past it. Like, I feel like, and then next also I'll do Bye Bye Pumpkin, and I feel like my reasoning is similar to yours in that, well, it had some visual style and by far was the best shot movie of the set. I didn't really understand what it was trying to say and the story it was trying to tell. And then I think Harley Quinn obviously comes last because it was the worst shot of the three. Honestly, I think visually the Transformers movie about Transformers toys with depression was shot much better than the Harley Quinn movie. It's more visually appealing. And the story also had nothing to say, but it was kind of just like, I want to make a movie about Harley Quinn. And then he wrote up the script in an afternoon and shot it. So that is our determination for the first episode of Fan Films. If you liked this video, we have some more fan film reviews in our Drunk View series, but we're gonna branch this out and make it its own series where we compare 3 fan films, which is a decision we made halfway through filming this, so that's why the introduction for the first 2 parts is gonna be wonky and awkward.
Also, we've been looking around, we've been trying to find various fan films, but if you have any good recommendations for fan films, good or bad, or even series that might have fan films to look into, feel free to tell us and we will look into them.